Hey everybody, it's Cheryl, Reckless Hill Farm. I am here for our 10 on the 25s today. I have started a couple cards and I wanted to use up some card mats and ribbon because I thought this would be a way to make Christmas stuff without dragging out all my Christmas stuff. So I got out these mats, which are 4 by 5 1/4, and excuse that I chopped this after, like I poked holes in it afterwards, but we'll need those. And so our card mats are this, and I got all different colors of green of pre-cut. This is stuff I got in I bought out somebody's craft area, like I needed more junk, right? But anyway, I have all different colors of green. I wasn't too worried about it. If they don't turn out right, I chuck them because I'm never going to use all these if I don't start. So all different colors of green, whatever color of green you happen to have, cardstock. Card bases, you could use white. I used craft, and I made these. So again, it's a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 sheet of paper, scored it 4 1/4 and folded in half. So standard card base. And then I made a little tree shape, and it was a rectangle that's 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. I scored it in half and then just cut from the corner to the points. So I made this little triangle. Then I laid him on here, and the original one I did because I only did like half this. I did this many, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. And then when I was using different color ribbon, I realized I needed a few more holes, so I just poked some more in between. But this just gives you a rough start. And if you don't have a hole punch that will reach, use an awl and a piece of foam or something to stab your holes. So should not be problematic. And I did this one, so I have a pattern, and we're going to see how this turns out. Actually, step 1. This is just a random background stamp. If you don't have a background stamp, you can use like a regular stamp and do all over. You could put a sheet of designer paper, or if you have thick enough designer paper, you could just use designer green paper. My concern, if you try to use just designer paper, is tearing out the holes. So be careful. Also, if you're using thicker ribbon, you might want to use the bigger hole punch or a bigger awl to poke your holes. So I am going to we're going to see how this green looks on this, because it's the first time using this, whatever, olive drab or whatever horrible color this card base is. And again, my thing with this is I want to use it. I don't want to just chuck it. So if I use it and it doesn't work out, then when I chuck it, I don't feel as bad, because I'm like, no, I do not like it at all. So I hope everybody is doing well. We are continuing on a little bit of chaos for 2026 theory. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. All the rain we've had, they canceled the horse show. Actually, that did not turn out bad at all. So even though the greens, it just sort of deepened the color, so don't hate it. The first one I made, I didn't do anything else. I just put holes, and then it looked like this. I don't hate it. Let's throw a sentiment on it so you can see what it's supposed to look like. And once I've put these on, it would be a bad idea to attempt to stamp directly onto the card. If you wanted to stamp your sentiment directly onto the card, do so before you start putting ribbon and stuff and making it uneven. So I'm just going to do this. And I don't love it as much as I thought I was going to. So I'm going to put that on there. I may end up doing something different, and I am going to stamp this one before we start. because that doesn't look like it matches at all. So live and learn. This is what we do. This will come off. I can replace it with something that matches, maybe, you know, a more square sentiment that just sort of takes this space. I had actually initially thought I would use this, and it is way too big. I liked the sort of classiness of it, and I like the joyful on this, but I think the round is what messes it up. But anyway, never assume that the people who make cards and you think they're stunning got it right the very first time, every single time, because they didn't. They most likely did not. So I'm going to put my dots on so I know where I can stamp. So this isn't even perfectly square. Don't stress it. This is, by the time you put the ribbon on, it sort of fixes itself. So there are little dots. Let me get out this little die. And if I hid my black ink for myself, where would I put it? Did I put it away? Come on, Cheryl, get it together. Well, paper has two sides. Let's see how it looks in the green. I literally just had it, but you know, I tidied my desk a teeny bit, and then that'll teach me. Let's see. Kind of has the, like, a little bit like subtle. So I don't know if I'll love it or not. And maybe while we're doing this, I'll see where the heck I chucked the black ink. And I do have my Secret C, which looks black on most things. So I do have this ridiculous hole punch. You do not need this ridiculous hole punch. I am lining it up with the holes. I am going to use the thicker ribbon, so I'm not going to add extra holes. If I was going to add extra holes, I would literally just eyeball it between the current holes. Sorry about my voice. I didn't realize I had a little bit of a croaky voice until I started talking, because I have been mostly quiet this morning, which is unusual for me. I also did this little dude, which is just kind of a, I just made sort of a stencil, because the first one I did, it felt like it was a little quiet behind. I don't know, like it didn't, because the gold wasn't. So I just have been doing this. Take a little bit of ink. You could use the same color. This just happens to be a darker, slightly darker color. And I just shade it in a little bit, and then when it's behind, it just has a little more oomph. Do not rip. I should have made this out of something thicker, but this was sitting on my desk. Alright, so that is, I don't know, step 1 through 3. Ribbon. So I used the gold that I had. I have this burgundy, and then I have this buffalo check. I'm going to try the buffalo check. I've done the burgundy. Give yourself a pretty good angle to go through the openings. I may actually want to go back and poke these holes bigger. I am not measuring this. I'm giving it a rough estimate. And you're going to do this kind of like lacing a shoe, only not really, because we're just going across the front. So again, this is pretty soft ribbon, so it's going to go through these little openings. If it was struggling, I would go back and punch these holes bigger. And I just glued that down for the moment just so I don't get halfway done and yoink the whole thing through. And then the first one I did, just like I guess because we lace shoes, I went across the back like this. I was wasting ribbon. So I'm going to go up the shortest side here and across. If you wanted to be real, behave really well and like make your ribbon manage itself, you could put a little tape around the end, but it's like 6 holes. It's going to shred. I don't care. I took a break from cutting quilt squares to do this, and I have to make a quilt sandwich, which sounds weird if you're not a quilter. It just means make the quilt, like put the backing in the middle in the quilt and then stitch it up for a baby quilt. It's a Winnie the Pooh panel, so I'd say it was easy, except for that deciding what to do took me weeks because I had all these grand ideas, but then it was going to be like the size of a twin bed instead of like a reasonable size for a baby. So I went with pretty plain. So you see, even on this one, I could have gotten away maybe with another couple holes, and I may just add more holes on the next one. But on this guy, I used the leftover ribbon and tied a little bow. Thought that was okay. Not like I'm massively in love with it. Also, don't hate it. I guess that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think you could cut some stars. You could use whatever stars you have. I have some stars here that are little. Could probably also get some star stickers. That would be cool for the top. You could also do a little angel. So I'm going to snip this off. Same thing. I'm going to just put a little piece of tape there. Glue that down. Now that's not going to be all that keeps it. I don't trust it, not even kind of. And this ribbon is so much softer than the other ribbons I used. I probably could have gotten away with stamping this after. I also can see if I make this square, if it's less annoying to me. Sort of feel like the floofy way I cut it was the problem. I'm pretty sure floofy is not technically a word, but it is today. Alright, so I'm going to grab a couple of these stars, or a star for the top of the tree, and then I'm going to do silver since the reds don't match. Reds are funky. They don't always go together. These have such a big surface area, they do not want me to pick them up. So you can do as simple as that. We can go through let's see, these are some little gold. Nope, not doing silver and gold, sorry guys. Just realized that I just put a silver on there. It's not happening. I'm not saying you can't do it. I don't know why I can't push myself past silver and gold together. Ooh. I have copper stars. Some of these, I have no clue where they originally came from. Like I said, I have bought, like when somebody's selling out there, I have bought crap that I did not need. See, I thought I was all prepared. I had all this stuff ready, but okay. These are kind of just iridescent. You see, I obviously could have gone darker on my oh my goodness, brain. On my shading here when I did the tree, but I sort of just wanted something, and these are going to be, you're going to need to hand deliver these. These are not mail, or you're going to have to pay extra ships extra. This makes 0 sense. I could plan 6 times to have everything where I needed it to be, and it is not going to be there. I have foam tape sitting here that I'm trying to use up because I prefer like to use my little dots, my Stampin' Up! Foamies, but because of that, I end up with like this kind of stuff floating around that needs to go away. So you can use the one I was using before. The one that's missing is a Dollar Tree one that I got a long, long time ago. This is thinner than the one I was using. So this, with this ribbon, you might be able to get away with mailing this, probably still non-machinable though. So I usually put a piece, ooh, that is real sticky. I'm not sure this was craft mounting tape. I got this at Ollie's, so it could have been for dang near anything, and I'm going to need to clean it off my... So I'm holding down the little ends of my ribbons, doing my corners. Thinking it was a drag. I can't listen to tunes while I craft when I'm doing a video because, you know, copyright and stuff, because I've been listening to the 6 soundtrack, you know, pretty much non-stop for the last couple weeks, and it keeps me motivated, guys. So you can do as much foam taping as you want. The dimensionals, when I use dimensionals, I tend to be a little more sparing with them. So I like using sometimes the cheap ones because then I'm like, I can use it all, I don't care. But they definitely are harder to deal with, like getting the backs and stuff off. So I was supposed to have a horse show yesterday. They canceled it because of all the rain. I'm both sad and okay with it because I got a little bit of rest. Here is my card base. We're going to center it as well as we can. Poke it down. And you have a card. So you could stamp on this. You could easily even use the same texture background thing. You could run a big sheet of this through an embossing folder to give it texture. Not a big sheet, but a strip. So a lot of what I use today has been like little scraps laying around my desk. I'm trying to really be thoughtful about using up my stuff. So I'll do one more real quick. Let's do this other random green. See that they all work, and I'm using the color I'm stamping over the top is Granny Apple Green for what that's worth. I think any green you had would work. Obviously, the darker you go, the more dramatic your background's going to be, and that may or that may not be what you want. This one is a good, juicy stamp pad. Oh, hey, it was right here. Stupid. It was underneath my stamp, this stamp. So this is the way you do a background. Well, this is how I do a background stamp. And this way you aren't chancing that when you put it down you don't get it clear. You do this, and then that also keeps you from getting it all over your hands. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing with that, you may have a cool extra piece if you're using it. If you want to use your, like if you were to use green for this or brown or something, you might have. But this is just going to be trash. So let's try again with the stamping. Oh, hold on. Place my spots first. And you could, yes, use a pencil for this. I just have a pen on my desk. But we're going to punch the holes out, so you're not going to see them if that's your concern. You could also put the holes in from the back and punch them. I don't think that far ahead, I guess. Let me stamp this off, make sure none of the green stayed. There we go. There. Also, it would be cool if you were using the gold, and I may do this, I may do a gold greeting. So you could make your this match your ribbon instead of matching everything else. I'm going to use the buffalo check again. I like it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just giving myself extra in case I need it. Hole punch. Just trying a thing with making this a little green, and since I was talking about the stump being different. Yeah, don't love that. Alright, my little fake stencil. And this does not have to be perfect. This is just to make it a little shadowy behind it. So the fact that it's torn or whatever, I could have made it bigger. I also, how about this? There. Just a little different. I'll zoom in just a teeny bit. And, you know, it looks, first of all, it'll settle back, but also we're covering it up, so don't panic if you're like, oh, that didn't work out. Also, 2 sides to every sheet of paper. So am I the only one who, like, I want to do Christmas stuff, but I don't want to drag out my Christmas boxes, because then I'll get like, ooh, and then there's this, and then there's this. I might take it a little too far with my, I have 3 full bins of Christmas stuff. And that doesn't include stuff that could be used for Christmas that's out all year. Like, some of my stamps that have multiple things in it are out all year. So Christmas and Halloween are, it's very hard. I'm like, I don't need more Christmas stuff. And then like the stamp I just used is from this, and I found it at Goodwill for $1.99. So there was no way that I could say no to that. And I'm about to order Stampin' Up! Decided they had to have a suite that's coming out in July. That is, looks like, the paper looks like quilts. So, of course, that's, you know, my current thing going on with my, two of my favorite hobbies combined in one. How is that ever going to be a bad thing for me? Sorry, I didn't like the way that lined up there, so I just added a little more. Also, if you found this to be tedious, you could use like an embroidery needle or something to pull this through. Since we do, a lot of us do junk journaling, we probably have such a thing. My kit for junk journals is directly in front of me, so if I wanted to yank out a needle, I probably could. But like I said, it's like 6 holes, so I don't get too I'm not too ruffled. So I think maybe between here and here, if I were to make the whole stencil thing again, I would do 3 spaces and like, so decrease the distance as I went up. But still don't hate it and still okay with it. These poor scissors have so much sticky on them from cutting that foam tape. I am determined to use the last of this foam tape. This and one more card of this roll will be gone. Anybody ever have a supply that like you don't hate it enough to just chuck it or whatever, you know you need to use it, and you're like, I need to use this so that I don't feel bad about it sitting there and hating it. But yeah, this, I don't like it. It's annoying. But again, came from the Dollar Tree. I can't really complain that it was $1.25. Of course, when it comes to buy the square inch, sometimes stuff from the Dollar Tree isn't the deal we think it is. I didn't stick on my little bling, so we're going to have to bling it with gentleness because now that it's taped down and it's not all flat. So I did this. I don't love it. Let's try the other side with Vintage Photo. I just put the little tape on there so that it'll stay put when I'm messing with it here. Okay. I just added some walnut to that because it wasn't getting dark enough fast enough for me. Now, more tape. Ooh, thought. Now I stuck it to my whole mat, but I just use my little pointy tool to give it some texture. Not the worst thing I've ever done. I'm going to see if I can get away with one of these red stars so that I can use these gold baubles. So it's kind of my mission this year, among other things, to use up some of this stuff. Like, you know, you buy stuff and it seems like, oh yeah, I'll be able to use up all those little beads, baubles, or, you know. And then I don't use nearly as many of these on my cards as, you know, I'm not going to say that I should, because I don't think there's a should. I think there's whatever you feel like doing. But when it's Christmas, we need to use them up, and I think that gives us, you know, so I'm not out just buying more stuff, even though I haven't used up all the others. So obviously I haven't done all 10 yet, but I don't want this to be a 72-hour video. Let me see. Of course there's pop-ups on my screen for no reason. Thought it kept track of how long we were taping, but I don't see it. Anyway, I have made 5 of them, 2 of them here with you. You do not need the ribbon I have. You do not need the bling I have. You do not need the same color green as I have. The new green from Stampin' Up! Is going to be my go-to for Christmas once I use up some of this other stuff, because I need a good excuse to use it up. But I think that they're kind of fun and rustic. You also could do this with, like, this part being book page, and then cut this before you cut a triangle to match before you went over it. You know, like do book page and then cut the middle out and do the tree so the tree's green. This is pretend book page, but like this. Hold on. See what we can pull off here. If it freaks you out to freehand cut stuff, you know, get out your ruler. And I am going to take a little more off so all the ink is gone. But again, the ribbon's going to cover up some of this, so not a crisis. See what happens when I say I'm going to be only do a couple and then see a squirrel. The Gugan and I are going to be friends shortly with getting this off here. So I am trying to figure out how to center this and not mess up get glue everywhere, but I'm just going to get glue everywhere. I don't care. This is some cheap glue stick. I apologize. Let's do this close to the edge. It's going to get held down some by the ribbon so it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, mercy. See? Definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Don't do that. Might have been easier to just do the book page and then another piece of triangle on top, but why would we do things the easy way? So among the crazy stuff my sister and I have done lately, not that that narrows it down, but we opened a booth in a flea market here in town so that we could downsize the stuff for her tiny house and downsize some of the excessive junk I have. So I have been spending a lot of times pricing things, and that went a little cattywampus, so fixed it. So I'm just trying to make sure it's even. Since I took off that on the one side, I'm trying to sort of make it even. So I'm not even going to do that. We're going to wing it, guys. Corners. About a ½ inch up. Slightly less than a ½ inch up here. Let's see how bad that goes, or how awesome. Let's say awesome. It's going to go awesome, right? Awesomely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yike. Almost did it. Almost pulled it all the way through. Not that it would have been the end of the world. So, do you have more ribbon than you know what to do with? Is that not just my house? Because sometimes I feel like that I might have a problem with ribbon. I should have stamped this before so that this green was a little more textured, like done the background texture. I really do think that all of this is a learning curve, and there is no rule that says if you make it and you don't love it that you have to send it to somebody. Also, a lot of times the thing that I think, oh, that could be better, people love it. You know, somebody will come by and be like, I love that card, and I'm like, oh, I thought that one was the one that I hated the most. So don't hate on your own stuff. Even, I mean, I say that and while I'm hating on my own stuff sometimes. Yeah, I think the texture would have been important. Again, it's not going to hurt anything, but it does seem a little wah-wah under there. I can always go back, take the ribbon out, whatever. Oh. Speaking of my sister, she just pulled in the driveway, so any second we should be cueing the dogs barking. You'd think the dogs had never seen her before. She was off pet sitting for the weekend, so she's been gone for a couple days, so there may be a big riot of Aunt Valerie's home. So they can see her front door from our back door. Now, you could also, if you felt the desire, go back with a different color of ribbon and sort of lace over the top or tuck it around to do like faux garland or whatever you wanted to do. You could also spread these out and like put a little glue behind so that they stay spread out. I don't hate it. It's definitely going to need some love. It's going to need sentiment and whatnot. Haha, I get to use the last of this jerk. Sorry. Why is it stuck to the... That's rude. Wasted portion of it. I hate it, but I didn't want it wasted. Get off there. Anyway, I hope that you'll do your 10 cards for this month or whatever it is you're trying to do to prep for holidays so that you're not surprised it's the holidays in December. Sorry, didn't have enough to put that down, so I'm going to make sure he stays. And find a card base. Okay, I also might want to put like another mat around here. The dogs did not see Valerie. That's impressive. Let's see. So looking at this and thinking about where I've been placing the sentiment and stuff, you could probably get away with moving your tree down so you would have more room for sentiments and, you know, like a bigger star or something. Again, nope. Don't like it on that color. Let's see if I did cut some in red, so let's see if the red works. I'm actually going to find a different thing to put on here because the reds do not even kind of go together. So you get the idea. We also can put this up and let it overhang the tree. Again, I think looking at it with this setup, I would want to move the tree down here and then put this on the third line. So play with it. You don't have to have the exact same things. You can use what's in your stash. So have fun, guys. Make some cards. Make whatever you need to do. Enjoy today and get some crafting done. Talk to you later. Bye.